All right, next question. I think this is going to be it, Corey. I think this is my favorite one. I think this will help generate discussion, if you will. Stand by for sound, everybody. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fire up the cameras. Corey and I now on camera here. It's the Renegade Express, warchant.com's Wake Up Warchant. Generating discussion. We're trying to spotlight the best question every single week here on the Renegade Express. Our folks at Cummins partnering up with us to help generate discussion with some giveaways. You can barely hear the faintest sound of the generator running. That's how quiet these things are. But you don't have to purchase a generator to get in our good graces here. Just post your questions over at warchant.com. Follow Cummins over on Instagram at Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. There's this huge project they're working on, Corey, that's maybe going to culminate in a town in Indiana on a day when the Noles are in town. Maybe.
Okay, all right.
So
that was vague enough. I like it.
Yeah, more details to come. Follow them on Instagram. We certainly would appreciate it. Florida State fans over at Cummins that are partnering up with us on this. So it's really cool. With that said, Corey, let's get to our question. It comes from our guy, Nole for Life, class of 2007. The gist of it's on our screen right there. But he says he's been embroiled in a Twitter beef with Clemson fans over the On3 power rankings that recently were released for coaches in the ACC. I politely, of course, question why Dabo Swinney was number one. Clemson fans think the power ranking should reflect the full body of work. If that's the case, sure, Dabo number one. My contention is that Norvell is the reigning national coach of the year and was one of the top candidates to replace Nick Saban. To me, if Norvell's the best coach in the nation, then he should be at the top of the ACC coach power ranking. What say you?
Well, I would say don't judge the best coach in the country by those awards. Just like Jimbo never won an ACC Coach of the Year award. They gave those to David Cutcliffe for going 5-3 in the Coastal. Meanwhile, Jimbo had one of the best college football teams that ever existed, and he got one vote out of 60. So don't just judge it by those awards. And I would say, look, man, I know Norvell has been very good, but yeah, I don't think it should be the only thing, because if resume was the only thing, then Jimbo, how many other coaches had national championships last year? There were like 3, right, that were active, 3 or 4. So Jimbo would have been ranked ahead of Sarkisian. He would have been ranked, with ahead of a lot of guys, ahead of Norvell. So it's not just body of work, but it's not like Clemson has fallen into a crater. They still got the multiple national championships. They've still got, 5 or 6 ACC titles in the last 8 years. And they're still winning 9 games. Now, we see that it seems to be doing this and not this. But, for now, I don't think you can make an argument that I wouldn't say I get it. If I was on 3, I would have Norvell behind Dabo, maybe at least for another year. Does that seem fair? And I'm a huge Norvell fan, clearly, obviously. But I do think track record matters some. There's been a lot, and I don't think Norvell is this at all, because I know the nuts and bolts of this program. I know the guts of this program. He is not a 1 or 2 year wonder, but there have been a lot of those. There have been a lot of national coaches of the year that you wouldn't want coaching Florida State right now.
See, it's tricky because I agree with a lot of your sentiment here, but I do feel like Clemson's on the way down, and I don't want to compare this to early 2000s Bowden, where like that 2003 team was like a dead cat bounce. But there's a difference between not being able to compete in the NIL marketplace and being unwilling to do so. I think Clemson can compete if they would like to, but their head coach seemingly has no desire to do so. Right. I know it was only a 1 year head-to-head where they lost to Florida State and had to go to overtime, but there's nothing about the trajectory of Florida State over the last 24 months and Clemson the last 24 months that would make you think that you would be in better hands having Dabo Swinney as your head coach. I don't know if that's what power rankings are trying to determine.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about the here and now, and we're not hanging on stuff that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago in a completely different climate than what we're operating in now, sure, at that point, I'll put Dabo Swinney ahead of Mike Norvell. But living in today's day and age, in the reality of what things are right now, I'd be hard pressed that there's any coach better than Mike Norvell in the ACC.
Well, and what's funny is, I know what I just said, but if you came to me right now and said, Corey, you can have Dabo at the same price you're paying Mike Norvell. He'd come and he'd drop everything and be Florida State's head coach tomorrow. I'd say no thanks. But I think that's more about his obviously public problem with not just NIL but the portal. I mean, he just doesn't use the portal, and in 2024, that's bonkers to have that mindset where you're not going to use the portal. But yeah, it's hard.
This coming season, though, Corey, this is the tiebreaker, right? Because Mike is theoretically going to be using a quarterback that Dabo couldn't win enough with.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. And guys, you pass your peak. Like how many guys would you take ahead of LeBron James right now in the NBA? 15, 20? I don't know. They're probably around that. Let's count them down. You got Jokic. You got Anthony. No, I'm not going to do that, folks. But there are plenty more guys that you would take ahead of LeBron James right now if you were starting a franchise than you would have 5 or 6 years ago. I still think, if you're doing a power ranking of the best players in the NBA, like taking everything into account, LeBron is still number one because he's probably the second best player that's ever played. But you know what I mean? So the power ranking is what we don't really define our terms about what it means or what On3 meant with the ACC power rankings. I do know this. Dabo Swinney has accomplished a heck of a lot more than Mike Norvell in college football so far. I also know that I would not trade Mike Norvell for Dabo Swinney. That's a fair answer to the question. Sorry, Cummins. This could have been a 30-second spot. It turned into a 7-minute spot. That's my fault.
Generating discussion sparked by our friends over at Cummins, and the question from Warchant subscriber Noel for live class of 2007. He will be entered into a monthly drawing for a swag bag of free gear from Cummins, as well as our end-of-year grand prize giveaway that will either be a Cummins power station or a Cummins portable generator.
Wow, nice. Wow.
Whether the power is out or you're out of pocket, be the hero with portable power from Cummins, a global power leader. Own-in power stations, perfect for mobile lifestyles, small and compact. Cummins own-in power stations provide temporary, off-the-grid power. Use it to charge your mobile devices, power your TV for the tailgate, run a fan to cool the party, or light up the after-dark celebration. Cummins offers power stations from 100 to 1,000 watts. These can be very handy during those temporary thunderstorm power outages we often get in the southeast in the afternoons. Use the promo code TAILGATE, TAILG, numeral 8, for a 10% discount at shop.cummins.com.